Good afternoon, and welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of September, I forgot what day, 19th, 2022. Thank you, Councilman Shobh. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief period of silent meditation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads the item. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify themselves, the name of an organization or group, including an address that you may be representing by such person or group, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, organization, or group, and whether you are speaking in favor of or in opposition to the item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Monday of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date, nor planned for a future agenda. Will the clerk please call the first item of business?
For today's agenda of Monday, September 29th, 2022, is the first item of business, Mayor's Award of Excellence.
Welcome, Mayor.
Good afternoon, Chairman Ward and members of the City Council. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's my pleasure to stand before you to present the Mayor's Award of Excellence for July 2022 to Michelle Zolke. She's a technology support specialist too in our Lincoln Transportation and Utilities Department, and she was nominated by LTU Director Liz Elliott in the categories of customer relations and productivity for her work to create the department's informative, interactive, and visually appealing web pages. And when Director Elliott began her new role with LTU in early 2020, Michelle was already preparing LTU's website to fit within a broader redesign of the entire city website, and this effort became one of the biggest that Michelle had ever tackled. Her success in preparing LTU's website for the citywide makeover exhibited her dedication and her talents, and she went above and beyond expectations and used her coding skills to make beautiful and interactive web pages for LTU, which, it's worth mentioning, is the city's largest department. And I certainly remember those days and seeing Michelle's work come up in draft form and thinking, how can we get everything to look like this? Michelle spent many weeks reviewing information and thousands of web pages to ready LTU's website for the redesign. And as she was wrapping up this work for the new website, Director Elliott tasked her with a department-wide project page where city teammates and the public could go to access all of LTU's current, planned, and completed projects. And this webpage is an extremely useful tool for our community. Each project has its own accessible and easy-to-read site with a description, a cost, a timeline, and other essential information. And I know that just came up recently when we were in conversation with you all. If constituents raise a concern or a question about when work is going to be done, you can direct them to the LTU page that Michelle created. When the city upgraded its intranet, Director Elliott presented Michelle with another vision, a one-stop shop where the LTU team could go to access all policies and procedures and forms, training and calendar events for the department. And so in her nomination, Director Elliott wrote, Michelle not only took that vision and ran, she created a masterpiece that has saved hours for the entire LTU team. Elliott also noted how Michelle embraced both the internal and the external projects with a confident, graceful determination. She is someone who's eager to create web pages that both improve productivity for LTU and create a great experience for customers. In doing so, Michelle constantly works behind the scenes and doesn't seek the spotlight. But today, however, the spotlight has found her, and we shine recognition on Michelle and her achievements. So please join me in congratulating Michelle Zolke for her hard work and her commitment to the city of Lincoln. I'd now like to invite LTU Director Liz Elliott up to say a few words about Michelle, and if you could just stay here while we shine the light on you.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to shine the light on Michelle Zolke today. She has exceeded all expectations and all visions. You just give her kind of this very vague, cloudy vision, and she makes a masterpiece out of it. And the project page, I think, is just the perfect culmination of all of the work that she's put together, with starting with the Lincoln on the Move page, but then bringing it all together. It helps all of us not only be able to show the public all of the work that's going on, but it gives them the details. It makes it easier if someone calls and says, hey, what about this street? I can just pull up and be like, yes, it's on here, or no, let me look into it. So it saves me a lot of time. It's something that I can refer the public to, as well as all of you can refer your constituents to as well. But then also just the intranet site that we have for LTU is amazing, and I hear from supervisors and everybody how much time it has saved them having it all together. And it's all because of all of the work Michelle has done the last couple of years, and she just does amazing work, and I'm happy that she's been honored with this award, the Mayor's Award. So thank you, Michelle, for everything.
Thank you so much for all of the kind words. I'm humbled to win this award. These projects were very challenging, but also very rewarding. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Michelle, we have not met before today. I just want to express my thank you to you. The project map is amazing. It is such a good reference for us and for constituents. Thank you so much.
My goodness, thank you.
I really appreciate that so much.
It was fun to work on. It really was.
Yeah, no. Yes. Thank you, Michelle.
All right, let's all congratulate Michelle one more time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Congratulations again, Michelle. Great job. Great job. Get things done. That's right. That's all right. Okay. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Next, we have our consent agenda, sections 1 and 2.
All right. Is there anyone? Oh, yes. Item 4A. Are we ready for 4A, Madam Clerk?
No, I'll do one.
One and
See
two.
if there's anybody here.
Well, that would be good. Okay. That's right. Anyone here that would like to testify? Yes, thank you. Come on down. I'll get in a rhythm in a minute. It always takes me a while.
We'll try and
Welcome.
keep up.
Hi, Dan. I know.
Hi, Jocelyn Golden, Interim Library Director, and I am here with Dan Sloan, the Library Board President, in support of the appointment of Christopher Stewart to the Library Board. And I'll let Dan speak briefly about Mr. Stewart, and then we'll invite Christopher to come up and talk.
Okay, thank you. I am Dan Sloan. I'm Library Board President, and it's my pleasure to recommend Christopher Stewart to you for appointment on our board. We lost, through term limits or whatever you want to call it, a really valuable board member, and we were really thrilled that Christopher was in the pool when we looked through it. We had probably 20 applicants. Some extremely strong applications, but Christopher was, in my mind, head and shoulders above the others. We did interview Christopher extensively. I've spent a bit of time with him informally. Just briefly, his background is in libraries. He's got library board experience. He has a master's in library science. He's got a doctorate, and I believe his project for getting his doctorate was library design or space usage. He's done consulting with major firms that design libraries. The list kind of goes on and on. Chris is a terrific guy to hang out with. He's a lot of fun. I think he'll be a terrific asset to the board. And we kind of get 2 for 1 because his wife is the Dean of UNL Libraries. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Christopher Stewart, and we'll let him
Thank
correct
you.
everything I've gotten wrong.
Totally. Welcome, and thank you so much, Dan, for being here, Mr. Sloan. Welcome.
Thank you. My thanks to the board and the city council and the library board for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Great. Any questions or comments for our public? Great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for serving.
Okay.
Very good. Okay. Can move on.
We can now vote on these items. Item 1A is appointing Michael Ferris to the Community Health Endowment Board of Trustees for a term to expire September 12, 2025, introduced by Shobh.
So moved. Second.
Councilman McGinnis.
Yes, I'd also like to move that we delay this for date certain till October 3rd.
Is there, seconded by Washington? Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, please call the vote.
Beckius?
Yes.
Bowers? Oh, excuse me. McGinnis?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Shobh?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 1B is appointing Christopher Stewart to the City of Lincoln Library Board for a term to expire September 19th, 2029, introduced by Shobh.
So moved.
Second?
Seconded by Raybold. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Washington?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Shobh?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 1C is approving a professional services agreement supplement number 1 for construction engineering services between the city and Alfred Benish and Company for construction engineering services for the North 27th Street and Adaptive Signal Project, introduced by Shobh.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Shobh?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Items 2A and 2B will be introduced by Shobh.
So moved.
Second?
Seconded by Raybold. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Washington?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Shobh?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right.
Concludes our consent agenda. We shall now move on to section 4, public hearing liquor resolutions. I'll be calling item 4A and 4B together. Application of Oshiyushi Inc., doing business as Oshiyushi for a Class I liquor license located at 2949 North 27th Street, and the related manager application of John Lighthall.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Come forward, please. Welcome.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you verily believe it to be?
Yes.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about your establishment and what you intend to do?
Yes, thank you. We're a restaurant on North 27th Street and Cornhusker Highway. Our seating capacity is about 120 people. If we get the liquor license, that will increase our business by at least a third monthly, financially. And I appreciate the consideration from the council.
Thank you. And have you stated your name and address for the record, please?
I apologize. John Lighthall and 3229 R Street, Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right. Any questions? Or yes, Councilman Beckius.
Is this establishment in the old Village Inn at 27th and Superior?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. I've seen your signs. Okay, thanks.
Other questions for our applicant? None? Okay. Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we can move on.
Next, I'll be calling items 4C and 4D together. Application of Hong Mai, doing business as Cuticle Nail Spa for a Class I liquor license located at 505 North 27th Street, Suite 4, and the related manager application of Hong X Mai.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Applicants. Investigator Parker and Director Carey, could you please address this issue, this item for us? Thank you. I don't see the applicant, so, okay.
David Carey, Director of the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. Thank you for a couple moments of your time today to explain this application a little bit more. What we have before us is a request for the liquor license that cannot meet our 100-foot separation from residential zoning, residential uses. It is just an item that needs to be clearly explained right now that this building, the entire building that's in this commercial area, is abutting right up next to R6 zoning and active residential. So based on our regulations that we should not be approving this liquor license, and it would not be able to qualify for the special permit. So it's really not, we're not capable, we can't waive that requirement. So
Understood.
That's the recommendation that we give you today.
Questions for Director Carey on this app? Yes, Councilwoman Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director, does the applicant know this information? I know it was sort of late breaking, but are they aware that their application doesn't meet?
So I can't speak to that because I was not directly involved in those conversations. What I'll make sure of is that we're communicating this after the meeting today for certain. I do know that the staff from different committees were, different departments were discussing this, but I don't know, and perhaps you can shed light on that.
Yeah, Investigator Scott Parker, 575 South 10th Street. The applicant is aware and that there's nothing we can do, and they're okay with that.
Thank you, Investigator. Yes, Councilwoman Washington.
And because these are fairly costly, and this is do you meet or do you not meet, do they get a refund, a portion of their application fee refunded, or is this totally?
I don't know how it works with the Liquor Commission. The applicant did have that question for me, and I asked that she contact the Liquor Commission about this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you both. Any further questions for our staff? All right, thank you, Investigator. Thank you, Director Carey. All right, moving on, if we could, Madam Clerk, when you're ready. Yes. Are you?
No.
You have a
Keep
question?
going.
Okay.
Nope, keep going.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be calling item 4E and 4F together. Application of Casey's Retail Company doing business as Casey's number 2720 for a Class D liquor license located at 1001 South 13th Street, and the related manager application of Crystal M. Carter.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
How doing?
Back again.
I am representing Crystal Carter today in this, and this is one of my locations that we're asking for the liquor license for. My name is Deb Jeffers, and my address is 17180 Southwest 14th Street, Martell, Nebraska.
We should know that by now.
I know, right?
Any questions for our applicant?
I just have to swear or
Sorry,
give you
Madam
your
Clerk,
testimony. That's all. I'm pretty sure, but the testimony you just gave is the truth as you really believe it to be.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank
No
you for
further-
being
okay.
here. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Raybold
I
has a
have
question.
A question for Investigator Parker.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming. I noticed on this application, there is a stipulation,
Correct.
and we don't often do that, do we?
Not
Just-
often, no.
Okay.
So the history of this location, we don't know how. Initially, they were only able to serve beer, the liquor license that they had. They're now applying to full-service spirits, wine, and beer, and individual beers as well. We don't know where that initial stipulation came in. There was some concern internally, just because it's such a high traffic area, so on and so forth, that just want to make sure that it doesn't become, one, a drain on police resources, and two, just to make sure that it's conducive to the neighborhood itself, if that makes sense.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
Other than that, there's no concern in terms of the applicant or anything like that, but we just wanted to make sure that it works well within the neighborhood and everything.
And the applicant is fine with that. I should have asked that question. With the stipulation that this location cannot have any liquor violations within the first year of this liquor license.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Washington?
Investigator, I noticed the same thing, and just for clarification, are you saying that this was a stipulation on their first
That's what we're thinking,
Okay.
but we don't know where that came in.
Okay.
We couldn't track that down. So I don't know if it was something from the police department side or somewhere else in the city. We couldn't find that.
But you're just repeating it for this
Correct.
one? Okay, all right.
Well, the initial stipulation, I think, was just for beer in that particular location. But now that they would like to expand their business within, with spirits and wine and so on and so forth, that we just want to make sure it's a good fit.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Right. Thank you, investigator, very much.
Can I actually?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Can I actually bring up David Carey on this?
Yes.
By chance?
Director Carey, please.
Hi, Director. Thank you for coming up. I'm assuming the grandfathering is the reason here that we're able to go ahead and expand the use?
I would,
because this particular circumstance actually mirrors the exact one that we just talked about with the nail salon in terms of the within 100 feet of the residential zoning.
Right.
And I'm assuming that the grandfathering is what we're talking about is the allowance, but we're also talking about an expansion of services. So can you talk a little bit about that?
yes. In order to be cautious about not providing you inaccurate information, I quite honestly would like to look into that further if you are interested in that.
Okay.
I don't want to say something on the record right now and either be wrong or be half right. So
Okay.
if that's something that we want to look into, I can look into that for you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Carey. Does that answer your question, Councilman Beckius? Are you good?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this item? Anyone else? Yes, Councilwoman Washington.
I'm just going to make our eye contact a verbal conversation. I think that Councilman Beckius was wondering if I had any questions or concerns, and I don't have any on this. I have a fuzzy memory that probably mimics Director Carey's on this, and so I don't want to say anything outwardly, but I kind of remember public conversation, or at least public discourse about this from a number of years ago when we were looking at additional gas station convenient mart liquor licenses, but I don't want to remember incorrectly.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. We can move on.
Okay, I'll be calling item 4G, 4H, and 4I, and 4J together. Application of Wax Buffalo LLC doing business as Wax Buffalo for a Class C liquor license located at 727 O Street and also located at 4723 Prescott Avenue, and the related manager application of Alicia M. Reisinger.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm Rebecca Christie.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth as you verily believe it to be?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm Rebecca Christie. My personal address is
yes.
6100 Sumner Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. Wax Buffalo's address is 727 O Street. We are applying for the Type C liquor license, although I would be curious, we recently, under Investigator Parker's advice, were recommended to adjust to a Type CI for our O Street location, as that's one that we could get immediately while we continue working with a contractor to get our mop sink and hand sink completed.
He's on his way.
Yeah.
So if that's not possible today, we can certainly just move forward with the C, and we'll wait on everything until those are completed. But
Here you go. We would take his advice, but we'll let him explain. Thank you,
Yeah,
investigator.
so the recommendation was to downgrade it to a Class I just due to some construction type issues that they were running up against and everything like that. Right now, we can approve it as it's written because it hasn't come back to me from the Liquor Commission. If I remember correctly, if they're downgrading, so not adding services, then it should be an okay switch. We may have to do an addition, but at this point in time, it would have to be approved as is, just because I haven't been notified of the official change through the commission itself.
Correct.
And
Okay.
we're comfortable with that. So
Okay,
yeah.
very good.
Great.
Any questions for the applicant or for Investigator Parker on this item? Thank you for that explanation.
Sure. Absolutely.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know. I think we can.
I would like to go.
Yes.
Madam Chair, seeing no one else coming forward, I'd like to move approval of items 4A, 4B, 4E through 4J.
Second.
Seconded by Washington. Any further discussion? Right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Beckius?
He stepped out, Madam Clerk. He just
I
stepped
didn't
out.
know that. Okay. McGinnis?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Shobh?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for denial of items 4C and 4D.
Second.
Seconded by Raybold. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Raybold?
Yes.
Shobh?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right, we can move on.
Okay. We shall move on to section 5, public hearing resolutions. I'll be calling item 5A, accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for August 16th through August 31st, 2022.
Is there anyone present that would like to address this item on pending claims? Item 5A. Item 5A, okay. Seeing none, I believe we can move on, Madam Clerk.
Next, I'll be calling item 5B, approving the amendment of contract between the City of Lincoln and BKD LLP, also known as Frovis LLP, to provide audit services to the City of Lincoln Water and Wastewater Systems for the year ending August 31st of 2022.
We will welcome Director Liz Elliott.
Good afternoon. I apologize. I lost track where we were. Liz Elliott, Director of Lincoln Transportation and Utilities. Historically, LTU has had a auditing firm separate and apart from the city finance auditing team. We had some challenges last year, and one of the solutions was to move forward and piggyback onto the city financing team's contract. That way we have the same auditor working on both LTU's water and wastewater audit as well as the city's overall audit. Hopefully this will bring some efficiencies. It will make sure that we can stay on time and meet our deadlines that are needed by the city finance team. So happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Director Elliott? Councilman McGinnis.
So you said this group does the cities?
They do, yes.
Okay.
They do, and have at least, I think as long as I've been with the city, so 5 to 10 years at least.
Okay.
They're familiar with city finance and are generally familiar with LTU water and wastewater. They may have actually done it years ago as well, but they also do look at it as part of the overall city audit too, so they do have familiarity with ours.
Any other questions for Director Elliott? Comments? All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right. We can move on, Madam Clerk.
We can now vote on those items. Item 5A is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for August 16th through August 31st, 2022, introduced by Shobh.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Raybold. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Raybold?
Yes.
Shobh?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 5B is approving the amendment of contract between the City of Lincoln and BKD LLP and Frovis LLP to provide audit services to the City of Lincoln Water and Wastewater Systems for the year ending August 31st of 2022, introduced by Shobh.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Raybold. Further discussion? Yes, Councilwoman.
There just needs to be a correction. It is Frovis, F-O-R-V-I-S. The way we have it listed in the resolution is just a typo, but it's correct with all the attachments and resolutions and addendums.
Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, please call the vote.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right.
We can now move on to Section 6, our public hearing ordinances, second reading, and related resolutions. Item 6A is approving the lease agreement between the City of Lincoln and Bennett American Legion Post Number 280 for lease space by Aging Partners for its Senior Center program at 970 Monroe, Bennett, Nebraska, from September 1st, 2022 through August 31st of 2024.
Good afternoon. I'm Kay Wenzel, the Assistant Director at Aging Partners, and I'm here to present any information or answer questions regarding that lease. We've been at Bennett for a while now, and just to provide our senior center services out there.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, thank you.
Same for 6B and 6C. It's for senior center services and social work and care management services in David City, Butler County.
Madam Clerk, do you want to read those into the record?
Please. I'll just read 6B and 6C congruently. So approving the lease agreement between City of Lincoln and New Visions United Methodist Church for the lease space by Aging Partners for its Senior Center program at 2400 South 11th Street, Lincoln, Nebraska, from September 1st, 2022 through August 31st of 2024. And item 6C is approving the lease agreement between the City of Lincoln and Rex and Jane Raymer for the lease of the space by Aging Partners for its personal and Family Services Program at 370 North 5th Street, David City, Nebraska, from September 1st, 2022 through August 31st of 2024.
And I believe Ms. Wenzel already commented on 6B, but any comments or questions? Yes, Councilwoman Washington.
I just want to say a thank you to Aging Partners. A couple of years ago, it was the practice to come forward with one-year leases, and we asked that we be looking at multiple-year leases, and I've noticed all of this summer and this afternoon as well that we're getting multiple-year leases, and thank you.
It is a benefit on our side as well. Thank you.
Very good. Do you want to read item 6C, Madam Clerk, or didn't?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be reading item 6D, change of zone 22023, application of the Planning Department to change from I-1 Industrial District to B3 Commercial District Plan Unit Development, H3 Highway Commercial District to B3 Commercial District Plan Unit Development, and R6 Residential District to a R6 Residential District Plan Unit Development on the property generally located at North 22nd Street and Y Streets.
Good afternoon, David Carey, Director of the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. Pleased to be in front of you today with this proposed change of zone for a PUD in this area along Y Street. I'll throw the map up on the overhead just to kind of give orientation to the area that we're talking about. This is an area that we have had great interest in for quite a while because it has a long-standing industrial zoning pattern along the old railroad. The neighborhood built up around the railroad activity, and what has resulted in over the years and the decades is you have a lot of existing residential that's very close to industrial zoning. One of the uses in general do not require industrial zoning anymore. So what happened here was an opportunity was presented to us to provide for a change of the industrial zoning to a B3 and R6 PUD plan unit development, which will allow for flexibility for redevelopment to occur over time here. And that is a great opportunity. And I will point out a few things that did take place here. We have at the Bay, that facility that is doing a lot of good work in our community. There is a new high school program there, the Bay High School. And over the summer, it came to several people's knowledge that the Bay was going to be opening up at the beginning of the school year for the new school, and we identified that the zoning itself had to change away from industrial because we do not allow public schools in industrial zoning. So we looked through the different ways of trying to handle that, but the reality is we need to do a change of zone. So that really spurred this opportunity and opened up the door for these other changes. The old Cushman site obviously is the largest single piece of this. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln is working on a redevelopment project for that area. So there's an opportunity there, and we have coordinated with them as well on this, as well as LPS, obviously, for the Bay High School. And we brought in the area that includes Turbine Flats to be part of this, and that is a kind of a shining example of what's possible out there for redevelopment. They have done a really interesting and good project there, and we foresee a lot of different things happening over the years upcoming for that purpose of seeing what can happen there. So really what we did was we took an opportunity to package this together for a change of zone to allow for some flexibility, as well as to clean up that industrial zoning that's near that neighborhood, and also to solve that challenge for LPS as fast as we could. So with that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Director Carey? All right, seeing none, thank you.
Great, thank you
very much. Okay, we're ready to move on.
Item 6E, change of zone 22021, application of Clark and Anderson to change from AGR Agricultural Residential District to R3 Residential District on property generally located at the intersection of Linwood Lane and Avon Lane.
Good afternoon. Tim Gergen, Clark and Anderson, 1010 Lincoln Mall, Suite 200. We're here for a change of zone. Our special permit for CUP was approved on this project at Planning Commission earlier this month. We've worked through our neighborhood. We've had neighborhood meetings, and we've worked with the city of Lincoln to come to a great project for this piece of property. This is located in an existing, one of Lincoln's first urban infill acreage developments, but it's also abutting the new development Waterford Estates on the south and on the east here. This is the site plan where we're proposing townhomes on the development, and then additional lots for acreage development if need be further to the north, where we are abutting the existing acreages. Again, our CUP was approved earlier at Planning Commission, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Gergen? Councilwoman Washington?
Mr. Gergen, good afternoon. I looked at this application and noted that there was a little bit of opposition, and I'm trying to understand what's the situation out there. I did not drive out
Sure.
to drive that road, but there were some questions about the road being not paved north of the culvert and could you walk through
Yeah, sure.
the traffic and the paving?
Yeah, that was one of the items that we worked through with the city of Lincoln, and this is why this development has kind of sat vacant for a little while. This was about my fourth or fifth developer that's looked at this project. We finally landed on a density and a improvement list with the city of Lincoln where the pro forma meets and it can actually work. The property, it's all paved roads, existing asphalt rural roads. Okay. So nothing's not paved out here, but the city of Lincoln wanted a urban standard street all the way through to the development on this street. And where we decided to show it is we're going to continue the urban standard street through to about right here, and then we're going to taper down and still have curb and gutter, but our sidewalks are going to be closer to the street, and therefore we can keep this existing culvert right here and not have to rebuild the culvert. And that was rebuilding that culvert. If we put a City of Lincoln standard street or residential street, would have to be rebuilt, and that's where it came in with a lot of the costs.
Okay.
And so we were able to develop a simplified cross sections where we moved the street, the sidewalks in, and we were able to still save and preserve that existing culvert.
Thank you. That clarifies the opposition comment that I read. Thank you.
Other questions for the applicant? All right, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could someone please retrieve Councilman Beckius? All right, thank you. Thank you, Councilman Shobh. Thank you.
See all the trees there.
Okay, we can move on when you're ready, Madam Clerk.
I wish I could make that.
Is there anyone from the public that wants to testify on item 6E?
Thank you for that.
Okay, I'll move on to item 6F, authorizing the issuance of sanitary sewer revenue and refunding bond series 2022 in the amount not to exceed $54,500,000.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Chairwoman Ward and members of the council, for the record, my name is Lynn Heaton. I'm director of the City Finance Department, 555 South 10th Street. Today, your agenda includes 3 bond financing resolutions as agenda items 6F, 6G, and 6H. These 2022 bond financing ordinances represent financing for projects previously approved by the council through your actions on the city's capital improvement program, or CIP. We are now ready to take the bonds to market to secure the funding for these projects, and your action on the ordinances authorizes me as finance director to continue working with other city staff and our advisors to take that action. With me here today to join me in addressing any questions you may have are LTU Director Liz Elliott and Fire Chief David Engler. Also joining us is our municipal advisor Scott Keene of Piper Sandler, and our bond counsel from Gilmore and Bell, Colleen Duncan and Mike Rogers. As you know, these bond ordinances were on first reading on your agenda last week, September 12th, and today is the second reading and public hearing. You are scheduled to vote on the ordinances during next week's City Council meeting on September 26th. So the first of the 3 ordinances and the CIP projects funded is 6F, Bill number 22-164, which authorizes the issuance of sanitary sewer revenue and refunding bonds, Series 2022, in an amount not to exceed $54.5 million. These bonds will be amortized over 25 years with the debt service funded from LTU wastewater system revenues. The projects to be funded were approved in the FY 21-2022 CIP and also in the FY 22-23 CIP budget. Of the bond proceeds, $35 million will fund new wastewater system improvements, including an expansion of the Teresa Street treatment facility. The Teresa Street treatment facility currently is at design capacity based on treatment capacity of 27 million gallons per day, or MGD. The expansion will add another 17 MGD of treatment capacity for a total facility capacity of 44 MGD and will incorporate a number of benefits. The remainder of the proceeds will refund Series 2012 sanitary sewer revenue bonds with currently estimated savings of just under $300,000. However, I also want to point out that if it's determined prior to closing that the refunding will not result in sufficient savings, the refunding portion of the financing will be removed. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions on the item 6F.
Questions for Director Heaton at this point? Okay, saying none.
Okay.
Can continue.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
I'll be reading item 6G, authorizing the issuance of general obligation highway allocation fund bonds, Series 2022, in amount not to exceed $11,550,000.
Already got off easy.
Yeah. Hello again. I'll just maybe just stand up.
Such luck.
Good afternoon again. For the record, Lynn Heaton, City Finance Director, 555 South 10th Street. So this is the second of today's bond ordinances. Item 6G, Bill number 22-165, authorizes the issuance of general obligation highway allocation fund bonds, Series 2022, in an amount not to exceed $11,550,000. These bonds will be amortized over 20 years with the debt service funded from highway allocation fund payments received from the state of Nebraska. Highway allocation funding for capital projects and debt service payments has been approved for the 2022-2024 budget. This is the second tranche following the highway allocation fund bonds approved by you and issued last year. Like last year's highway allocation bond issuance, this funding will go to street construction and repair projects in all quadrants of the city. It will fund both new growth and residential rehabilitation projects. It is a part of the street funding package that also includes Lincoln on the Move sales tax, along with other local, state, and federal revenue that is funding the improvements called out in the long-range transportation plan and the transportation improvement plan. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Heaton? Anyone else in the audience wish to testify on this item? I should have asked before. All right, seeing none. Thank you. Continue.
I'll be calling item 6H, authorizing the issuance of municipal improvement bond series 2022 in an amount not to exceed $11,550,000.
Again, Lynn Heaton, City Finance Department, 555 South 10th Street. This is the third and final of today's bond ordinances. Item 6H, Bill number 22-166, authorizes the issuance of municipal improvement bonds, Series 2022, in an amount not to exceed $11,550,000. These proceeds will fund renovation, construction, and equipping of Lincoln Fire and Rescue's Station Number 8 at 17th and South Streets, and other public safety improvements. The bonds will be amortized over 20 years, with the debt service funded from city sales tax and general revenues. The project was approved in the FY 2021-2022 CIP budget, and debt service payments are funded in the current budget. I want to note that based on bond council and municipal advisor recommendation, the municipal improvement bonds that are used, mechanism that is used in this ordinance is being used here to replace the city's former use of certificates of participation, or COPs, as a financing mechanism. And again, be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Heaton? Councilman McGinnis.
Excuse me. Are any of these going to be callable, or do we know what the market is going to look like at this point?
I believe we do have them
Mr.
callable.
Keene would like to come up here.
Scott's missed appearing before you, so.
Thank you. Scott Keene with Piper Sandler. Yes, all the bonds will be issued and will be callable. Typically, we're looking at 9 years for the sewer bond issue with a final maturity of 25 years. For the two other issues that have 20-year final maturities, we're looking at an 8-year period before the bonds become callable. And again, that's without penalty, which is the city's opportunity to refinance the debt to lower interest rates.
And how do you see the market today?
Not very well. Thank you for asking, though. Yes, rates continue to rise, and the market's just very quickly. Market's in a little bit of a shock right now, just because they've risen by so much and happened so quickly that investors are really almost sitting on the sidelines. But for high quality financings like this, we expect very good demand. We think all three issues will get great support. Looking to go to market starting end of October and into November. But it's we hope to just keep the process moving forward very, very quickly. The first financing we're actually to market the 12th of October. So, and then going every week thereafter. So.
And do you see rates, I mean, instead of doing the certificate of occupation, or participation, you know where I was going with that one.
I did.
Are the rates better, or to do a muni bond because of the term?
For a municipal improvement bond over the certificates of participation.
Is it because of the asset?
What really helps us is that in Nebraska, the reason that our COPs have been rated AAA for so long is because in Nebraska, cities like Lincoln are able to enter into certificates of participation financings, and they are not subject to annual appropriation, where they are in almost every other state. It requires a specific vote of the council to be making those payments every year. So bondholders run the risk of investing in the securities, and suddenly a city or a school district might decide not to make the payments. So they've had kind of a bad name for a while, but so we get to avoid all of that and get down to the simple strength of the city's pledge for the municipal improvement bonds, which is the sales tax receipts and the property taxing authority. So it ought to help with the borrowing cost, even though we expect them to be AAA rated as well.
Okay.
Other questions for Mr. Keene? Anything? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're ready to move on. Madam Clerk?
That concludes section 6 of our agenda. We shall now move on to section 7. Item 7A is approving an agreement for tower space and appurtenances between the City of Dish Wireless LLC to occupy and use certain city-owned parcel of real property and tower generally located at 4375 South 33rd Street, introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by McGinnis. Further discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Washington,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 7B is amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range prefixed by the letter A by creating the classification of police business manager, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Shobh. Further discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 7C is amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range prefixed by the letter W by creating the classification of technology project manager, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by McGinnis. Further discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 7D is amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned by the pay range, which is prefixed by the letter E, by changing the title and pay range of Class 0634 from Human Resources Operations Specialist in pay range E15 to Human Resources Operations Manager in pay range W01, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Washington. Further discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Washington,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 7E is amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range prefixed by the letter N by deleting the classifications of landfill operator 1, landfill operator 2, and landfill operator 3, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Beckius. Further discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Item 7F is amending Lincoln Municipal Code Section 2.76.145, Compensation Plan, Merit Pay Plan, Administration and Requirements for Advancement, and Section 2.76.160, Compensation Plan and Variable Merit Pay Plan, W pay ranges to remove the mayor and replace with the Human Resources Director for the approval process, introduced by Raybold.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Washington. Further discussion? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Washington,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay.
That concludes our section 7 of our council agenda today. Section 8 is resolutions first readings, item 8A through 8D. Section 9 is ordinances first reading, and related resolution is items 9A and 9B.
Right. This afternoon is public comment period. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda and not planned to appear on a future agenda may do so now at this open microphone session. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak regardless of the number of topics. So please come forward. Yes.
We're getting it for you.
Yep.
Only the slow money doesn't know what's going on. But I wish I had that stack of papers, because I could have. It's going to be a 2-part series.
That's all right. Welcome.
All right.
Got your microphone?
Second, we'll
coming?
get that ready for you.
That's right.
You know, I start my time, thank you.
We'll wait and start your time now. Yes.
Okay. I come here to say a couple of things. One, I was on a city bus accident.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you hold it closer?
Yeah.
And state your name and address, please, for the record.
Okay. Josephine Litwinowitz, 105 North 8th Street, apartment 206, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Thank you.
Okay, my social security anyway.
Oh, that's all right.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
But this isn't, because I was on a city bus a little while ago, and okay, you know, the moorings failed. You know, I've called about this a couple times. I should have done more. The moorings on the left side of the bus failed where I was. So it doesn't matter what the right side was doing, but so the driver made a jog. I'm sure it was reasonable. You have the video. I have the video too of me going over, and I was belted in. I was strapped, but they both gave way simultaneously, and I went across the aisle and my head hit a plastic chair. And my head, being like the rock that it is, didn't get hurt, but my neck did. You know, as far as the next day, I have a lot of damage in my head already from football, and now you know, I got to sit in the chair. I get 5 shots in my lower spine. That's not related to anything, but and so, you know, my core muscles aren't great, and so I'm always kind of, you know, my neck hurts. I don't know why. I mean, particularly considering some of the test results, you know, didn't show anything. But I have significant past neck damage from high school football, and so it lasted years. I saw, you know, sports doctors right away, and it you know, it hurt, and you know, it kind of ameliorated over time, you know, and you know, I was pretty much without it for the last 10 or so years, ever since I got in the wheelchair for some reason. But so it's come back and it stayed. I've had this a lot of my life, and it's because I'm not like anybody else. I'm in a wheelchair, so you know, I have you know, it's going to hurt, possibly, potentially worse. And if you're disabled in a wheelchair, so you know, these definitive standards of how you compensate, you know, can't apply, because I'm in a lot of pain, and I have been for a while. I don't know when it's going to end. And so anyway, I had this accident on the bus. My head tipped over, and there's another accident that we lumped together, but I'll get to that later. And so I'll bring the video next time. Anyway, so I talked to the city attorney's office, and I was like, okay, you know, talking about compensation, and I gave him an offer of $30,000, and not knowing that was kind of asinine considering, but and so he offered me $5. Now, I didn't put the significance potentially of that till later, because once you know, they got the paperwork from Medicare and Medicaid about the potential liens, you know, I got offered the same amount. And so I said, can you itemize it? And he said, no, I can't. I mean, like, and I'm like, I'm confused. I can't itemize it. And so, you know, I sent him an email at that point. Should have sent more emails. But, and then, what was I talking about? Because sometimes then I'll remember everything.
Itemizing the 5,000.
Yeah.
What was that?
Itemizing.
Itemizing what? I'm sorry.
Your
The
amounts.
The amounts.
Oh, yeah.
Itemizing the
And
amounts.
he said, now, he said he couldn't do that. And I said, why not? I just want to know why you can't itemize why this $5,000. And so I asked a couple times, and then I said, well, what is the 5,000? No, I said something like
1 minute.
Oh, okay. But I said it, I have to think of it, but I said, how much, does it include that $5,000? Does that include what may be, you know, charged me by the hospital? And he goes, yes, which is itemizing. And so, you know, I don't, you know, I have no and I don't. So, but I've been dealing with some discrimination anyway. So I know we're waning here, but the Speaker of the House of Legislature and our Attorney General-elect discriminated against me based on my disability. And I say that, let them countersue. I wish I've approached this with lots of people, and they just want to disregard it. And, a couple of senators, that didn't get back to me. It's not because I get along with them. And actually, that's just weird. And then the paper, the Journal-Star, killed it in a way I could tell you about. And then, here we go, just another little bit. And, Legal Aid in Nebraska, they said, they can't understand their charter, but still, anyway, I don't have to go on. But I mean, ACLU, they're focusing on other things. I tried all the guys in town. I finally got, I called the Berry Law Firm, and they'll take it, but they said, you're probably not going to get much. And we'll probably, our legal fees will probably take what more you would get, like $5,000. And so I said, well, we'll see. I'm going to, maybe maybe we can stretch that bound with a city entity. I don't know, do you want to be a pioneer? I haven't told them that yet. But, it's frustrating. So I can continue. That's why I came right now.
Okay, sir, I'm sorry, your time is up for today, but it's brought to my attention you have filed a claim with the city, correct? And you are on our claims report for next week.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, so we'll be able to discuss it more next week.
Right, 40,000.
Okay.
And so,
okay.
I mean, it's going to cost a lot to litigate, right?
Before you go, are there questions from the council or comments from any council members? We really appreciate you being here, and we'll be processed through our law department. So
awesome.
Okay.
And I'm stating that for the record. So
okay.
I just because it's hard to. I have the money. I have the money for the paperwork, the complaint, and to file it. And it's going to get tanked anyway, so I don't care. I was going to anyway. I'm going to go. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you for being here. Yeah. Oh, Councilwoman Washington.
Madam Chair, I do have a question for council. Since our council rules are usually that we do not listen to testimony that is going to be on our agenda or has been on our agenda, since we listened to Mr. Lenowitz's testimony today, does this suffice? Should we keep this in the record, or should we ignore this until this comes before us on an agenda next week?
Mr. Christie, can you advise or give us background? You are coming forward.
Yes, Hansi Christie, City Attorney, 55 South 10th. The way that I understand the question is, should the council consider what they heard today? This is a council rule. There's nothing that, in state law or ordinance that has language that prevents someone from speaking on a matter that is scheduled on a agenda or future agenda. So this is a council rule. It is your own rules. I think that if the council would choose to waive its rules, there's a process to do that by, there can be a motion and a vote.
Okay.
So I hope that answers the question. I mean, that's a long way of saying that this is a council rule.
Okay. I appreciate that. It does go a long way in answering the question that I had, because at times we have leaned on our council rules and disallowed testimony on agenda items. Thank you.
I think many of us were not aware that this was on a future agenda.
Oh, I was.
Oh, you were?
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought we all were, because we had seen this show.
I was not until Councilman Shobh advised me. So, but thank you, Mr. Christie. But if you feel more comfortable making a motion in any regard, I'm happy to entertain that.
I think that in light of the fact that he did come down this evening to address us, and that we should take this testimony into account and waive our rules in this case. He was, and yeah, that's enough.
For motion, okay?
That's the motion.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? I would entertain a second.
I will second that.
Seconded by Raybold. Any discussion?
I would now add.
Councilman
for-
Shobh.
Okay, sorry.
Councilman Shobh? Okay,
I
Councilman.
would add for discussion that in reading the claims report that we looked at this week, I always look ahead and noticed that there was a pending claim for this person, Josephine Lenowitz. And so I had seen that, and then I did see an email from this afternoon, maybe not very long ago, a couple of hours ago, where he had made a request. So I thought, okay, this is on our agenda, and this is undoubtedly going to be dealt with whenever law denies or accepts the claim.
Councilman Shobh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am a little confused by the motion. We can't undo the testimony.
No.
We don't vote on it today.
Right.
He'll get another chance to speak next week. Would you like to deny the chance to speak next week? Or we can listen to the same testimony again. It really does no harm. I agree that we allowed our own council rules to be violated by allowing the testimony, but I think anything else would just exacerbate the situation.
Councilman Raybold.
Well, I know that we are very stringent about our rules about speaking on items at public comment that are on a future agenda. And so I was unaware because I didn't look ahead to the first readings just yet. And so I think and Councilman Shobh was able to show me that, like, oh, it's on the pending claims for next week. I think it would be helpful if our colleagues were aware, just to let us know and give a heads up to the chair and the vice chair to let them know that this individual is going to be speaking on a claim. I guess, and we can't undo the conversation that was held. So I think we just have to accept it in the record, like you were asking.
Any other comments?
So,
Councilman
okay, what are
McGinnis,
we
then.
voting on then? To accept this into the record as part of the claims? Or are we
Is
just?
that the, yeah.
I was thinking that we should waive our rules and accept this, but instead I will retract my motion and accept that we all weren't aware that it was on the agenda or would likely be on an agenda in the future.
Councilman McGinnis.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Do you need to
Yes,
withdraw your
and I would
second.
second that. I didn't want to waive our rules, but we will just accept the comments as part of public
Yeah.
comment.
Right.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Excellent.
Councilman Shobh?
Does what? Oh,
Motion was made in second. It's out there on the table. Does it need to be voted on?
I believe pursuant to the council rules, since there was a motion, a second, there was debate or discussion, and now there has not been a vote. Now there's a request to withdraw. You should vote on the request, and it may be withdrawn so long as there's unanimous consent at this stage, is where you're
Voting
at. So
on-
Let's
voting
vote
to
on-
withdraw the motion since
Okay.
there's been debate
Okay.
is where we're at.
All right.
So the vote will be to withdraw.
Correct.
Okay.
The motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Thank you. Counselor? All right. All right, we are going to vote to withdraw the motion, which was moved by Washington and, who's second? McGinnis.
Nope.
And Jane withdrew
I
her
did.
second. Okay. Seconded by Raybold. All right, everyone ready?
Raybold?
Okay.
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Shobh,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay.
Okay.
Public
Anyone?
comment still.
Yes. Anyone else want to come forward on any issues?
Not on the agenda, future agenda.
That's right.
Hello, my name is Casey Ogle. I'm a senior staff attorney for Collective Impact Lincoln at Nebraska Appleseed. Address is 947 O Street, Suite 401. And I'm very sad to say that I am not here to speak about an item that is on a future agenda, but instead I'm here to talk again about a source of income anti-discrimination ordinance for the city of Lincoln. We've been speaking with you all about this issue for roughly 2 years. So I think you all are aware of what a source of income or SOI ordinance, what it is and what it would do, but just as a brief refresher, a source of income anti-discrimination ordinance would mean that prospective tenants could not be turned away simply because of the way that they would pay their rent. This is designed, and it most impacts people who use Section 8 housing vouchers or housing choice vouchers from the Lincoln Housing Authority or similar housing authorities across the country. That's the major impact, but an SOI ordinance would also impact anyone else who pays rent with any other legal source of income, often other government subsidies like Social Security benefits, disability, veterans vouchers, also payments to help with refugee resettlement that are made on their behalf. It would ensure that people couldn't be turned away just because of that method of how they would pay their rent. As long as it's a legal source of income, that can't be the reason a tenant is turned away. We've been discussing this for a bit and talking about it as a really great impact for Lincoln, and it would have a really significant, very high impact for a particular group of Lincolnites. But I'm wondering if there's some thought that this is like a housing silver bullet, right? Like this is a really hard thing to do for Lincoln, and it would dramatically change Lincoln's housing scene. And so today I'm here to say that's not the case. It does have a very high impact on a vulnerable housing community, that being residents of Lincoln who rely on Section 8 vouchers to pay for their rent. It would decrease by half the chances that they are unable to use their vouchers. So there are studies across the nation that show that these types of ordinance decrease by half the voucher failure rate. Right now, that failure rate's about 25% nationally and also at Lincoln, here in Lincoln. Passing this ordinance would reduce that failure rate by about 12%. So that means the success rate would be around 88%, 87%, something like that. So it is a very high impact for a specific group of people in Lincoln. But this won't dramatically change the housing market in Lincoln. So there are a lot of other things that we need to do to make housing affordable in Lincoln as well. This is an important thing, and it's something we need to do, but it's not the one sort of silver bullet. So just in case there was any sort of concern that this would be the thing that really changes how housing markets work in Lincoln and its impact on landlords or other housing providers, if you will, that won't be this ordinance, right? So that's what I wanted to say today. And we have with us, as part of our we have many supporters here today, which we're always so glad. But we have one in particular who is a landlord who's going to talk about his experience with vouchers and how it's a positive experience and why he is still supportive of a source of income anti-discrimination ordinance. And that's really pretty much it for today. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm happy to answer any questions, have any further discussion.
Any questions for Casey? Comments? Thanks for being here again. We appreciate it.
Hello. Hello. My name is Reed Gahan. I live at 3136 R Street in Timmy Ward's district. I'm a landlord here in Lincoln, and I'm here to speak in favor of source of income protections for housing in Lincoln. 2 years ago, I bought a duplex in central Lincoln near 26th and K Street. I lived in one unit and wanted to rent out the other to a family in need. I reached out to Community Action of Lancaster and Saunders County, who said that they are always in need of more landlords to rent to their clients. While on the phone with the caseworker, she was crying tears of joy. She was not the one that was going to benefit from this housing, but she knew how impactful that it would be. Because it was through a voucher program, I did have to go through the city's inspection process. the caseworker was very helpful guiding me through that process, and it was pretty painless. I had to update some electrical outlets inside the house to make sure that they were properly grounded, and install a handrail on the outside because I had, 4 stairs, and so I needed the handrail to get up to code. I'm a software engineer. I am not handy at all. I had my uncle come over to help with the handrail, and we got it done in an afternoon. It was a very painless process to get up to code. The family I was matched with moved to Lincoln from another state to escape domestic abuse. And they were legally homeless at the time, couch surfing. It was a mom and, at that time, 2 middle school boys. In the past 2 years, I have seen the mom complete various nursing certifications while working nights. Her 2 boys succeed in school and get plugged into various community groups. And myself grow in understanding the importance of stable housing and the positive impact that it can have on a family. They have been the absolute best tenants possible, both when I was living there as my neighbors, and then now that I have moved away, just amazing tenants. They would not be where they are today if not for housing vouchers and the ability to use them. Unfortunately, merely having a way to pay for housing in Lincoln is not enough. Though Lincoln desires to be a place where all are welcome, we unfortunately are not extending a welcoming hand to those who need it the most. When landlords are able to discriminate based on where the rent money comes from, we are pushing away those who need our city the most. Well, there are many injustices in the world and in our great city that source of income protections will not be able to address. It is at least a step in the right direction. As a community member, as a landlord, and as one who believes that we are to love our neighbors, especially the least of these, I ask you to ban source of income discrimination, that Lincoln might become a more welcoming place to all who want to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Councilwoman Washington?
Mr. Hagan, Mr. Hagan, thank you for coming down. I don't know if I got your last name correct.
Gahan, Gahan.
Thank you, Gahan. Thank you. I'm curious. You said when you bought the duplex, and you said you reached out to Saunders County.
Community Action of Lancaster. It's the joint between the 2 counties, I believe.
Got it. Community Action. Okay. And I'm curious, why did you reach out to Community Action? Why that group?
I had reached, making me remember things from 2 years ago. I had reached out to a couple different groups. I know I had talked to the city general something. I can't remember what the second word of that was. Okay. But then ended up getting connected with Community Action just from a friend that was in Omaha working in similar areas. And then they connected me to Community Action, which is how I got connected. It was great. It was really helpful having the caseworker, which I know that that's not always the case in things or other vouchers, but having the caseworker was very helpful, just kind of walk me as a new landlord through that process of what it looks like to do all the requirements.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Comments? All right. Thank you very much. Any other testifiers today? Anyone else? All right. Let's come forward. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Roy Helm. I identify with the pronouns of he and him. I live at 2750 South 13th Street, which is on Otoe, Missouri land. It's been a while since I've had the opportunity to come here and speak, and it just sometimes life gets in the way. But so there's been a lot on my mind, and I think the first thing I feel compelled to say is to reflect on when we start these proceedings, it's always with the Pledge of Allegiance. And the pledge, the words that ring loudest to me are liberty and justice for all. So I hope we can all maintain that thread, that chain of thought, I guess, throughout what I have to say, because liberty and justice for all is important. It's the crucial foundation of this nation. And with that in mind, as most have probably heard, on Friday or Thursday, rail strike was averted. There was now a tentative contract, and I just want to hold up and lift up the process that provided that contract proposal, and to recognize all rail labor and labor organizations that stood fast and followed the procedures and protocols under the Railway Labor Act. And it's a completely different industry when you talk about the railroad and what labor can and cannot do, but it was, the process was followed. In my estimation, it was a successful conclusion to this point, and now it's up to I guess, member ratification or employee ratification of the proposal. So it was a very positive moment and is a positive moment, and averted a pretty detrimental, could have been a detrimental strike or work stoppage. And you know, in my mind, it's always been the nuclear option for organized labor. Strikes don't benefit anybody, but they do call and create a lot of attention. Another item that I think deserves some comment is later this week, our mayor will be proclaiming Oto Missouri Day. And when I first heard about it, I thought it seemed a little patronizing. But as I read a little bit more and gave it a little more discernment, it does seem to be the first step in bringing recognition some of the atrocities that have been cast upon a group of our society. And I hope to be able to attend, if not attend, view the live streaming, but I do have some other commitments, so we'll see. But I think it's important that we keep our minds open and truly recognize the past and what has been done, and consider avenues to reconcile and sincerely reconcile in a meaningful way that will have true impact and value for those that have been ostracized. And along those lines, I can't help but see the irony in on the one hand, we are taking steps to recognize the past and to learn more about the past, but yet we still, in our colonial settler ways, have approved and are moving forward with a development in the southwest part of Lincoln that abuts and is going to have impact on some very sacred ground. And I'm still disappointed by that decision, and I know that there are others who feel the same. Other groups will probably be continuing to speak out against it, but it just continues our attitude as white people, and we continue to do the same things as if it's we're still living in the Monroe Doctrine and the doctrine of discovery, that this is our land. It's not our land. And the reality is it's none of our land, except, well, we did steal it fair and square, so I guess we can claim it. But I hope that we will truly embrace the what's happened in the past and reconcile with it. And I belong to a faith group who was involved in having Indian boarding schools, and we're taking steps to recognize and finding ways to reconcile.
1 minute.
And it's important for us all to do that. We can't change history, but we can certainly learn from it and move forward from there. I guess that's about all I came here to say, except I hope you're all doing well. Looking forward to some cooler weather, and thank you. Appreciate the time. And I appreciate the work that you all do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you. Anyone else care to testify this afternoon? Anyone else? Okay.
I move we adjourn.
It's been seconded by McGinnis. Please call the vote to adjourn.
Raybold?
Yes.
Washington? Yes. Shobh?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes,
Motion carried 6-0.
we are adjourned.